Welcome to Mum's Mondays on Claire's Food Haven. Today I'm going to make Normandy chicken. It's called Normandy chicken or chicken Normandy because it's flavoured with apples, and Normandy's famous for its apple orchards and cider. So just running through the ingredients first. First of all, we've got 6 chicken thighs. They look pretty big, but by the time we get the skin off, they won't be too big. We've got 1 onion, 2 eating apples. These are pink ladies, which are going to be cut up and put in. Some mushrooms, which I'm going to cut the stalks off and cut in half. I've just rinsed the mushrooms under the tap and rubbed them to get the bits off. 150 millilitres of cream, 250 ml of dry cider. If you didn't have cider or you didn't want to use cider, you could use apple juice instead, but the end sauce on the chicken would be a bit sweeter. It's still very nice. We've done it both ways. But we prefer it with cider. You actually boil off the alcohol, so if that's a problem, don't worry about that. And then 250 ml of chicken stock. This is from 2 stock pots. Actually, you can see it's more than 250 ml. We've probably made up 500 ml there, because I might need, when I get the chicken in the pan, I might need to cover it better with the stock. So we might end up using more than 250 ml. And then we have about half a teaspoon of dried thyme for flavouring. So that's all the ingredients. So first of all, I'm going to chop up the onion. Ooh, skin's quite tough on this. These onions are quite mild, so I don't think I need to wet my hands to avoid the crying problem. I've got a bowl here for the compost. Those. I've already got rid of the tough bit at the bottom. Now I'm going to cut it in half and then cut it in half again, and now chop it not particularly finely. As you can see, it's still quite chunky, but that's fine for this recipe. So that's the onion ready, and now the mushrooms. Just taking the bottom off and cutting the mushroom in half. That's the mushrooms prepared. And next the apples. I've already washed the apples. I'm going to put some lemon juice into this jug of water, a whole lemon cut up. And now I'm going to peel the apples and drop the slices into this jug of lemony water so that they don't go brown. So that's the first apple in. I always check the apple core with Pink Ladies because we keep them in the fridge, and quite often I find that the pips will have sprouted. Oh yeah, sure enough, we've got a sprouted apple pip there. That's exciting when it happens. Oh, and another one in there. Just, they're very delicate at this stage, so that's 2 sprouted apples, and sometimes if you're lucky you can get those to grow into a little apple tree. They don't grow properly into Pink Ladies, but it's a bit of fun. So I'm going to put those in water now straight away, and then later on I'm going to plant them. Sorry, I've got sidetracked, that's typical of me, excuse me. Sorry about that. Back to the second apple for peeling. That's all the apple covered in the lemon water, so that's good. There's a stray lemon pip in there. Sorry, I can't resist it. I'm going to have to look at these pips as well. Trick is, oh my word, they're all sprouted. We've got, in fact, the sprouts are growing into the bit of apple, so that one's come on. I'm just going to put this whole bit in with the other ones for my next project, seeing if I can get any of those little apple pips to grow. Oh, that's a bit of excitement for today. Right, so that's the vegetables done. I'm going to change boards now, change knives, wash my hands before I start handling the raw chicken, and then we'll take the skins off the chicken and trim any bits that need to come off. Right, here we are. I've washed my hands and now we're going to have a look at this chicken. So the skin needs to come off. And a good way to do that is to take a hold of the skin with a piece of kitchen roll, keep a firm hold of the chicken thigh and just pull the skin off. There we are. Oh, that was a bit of a battle. I'm going to wash my hands again now, and then I'm going to trim it up a little bit with the knife. Oops. That's the chicken ready to cook. So that's all the ingredients ready, and we're going to go over to the cooker now and start the cooking process. See you in a bit. I'm going to season the chicken thighs with salt and pepper before we start to cook them. We're using rapeseed oil. I'll wait for the oil to warm up. This pan has a tendency to stick, but it doesn't really matter too much if the chicken sticks to the bottom a bit, because it'll all add to the caramelisation of the sauce and none of the flavour will be lost. And I'm going to cook these pieces of chicken 3 at a time. And they'll need about 5 minutes in the pan, and then turn it down a bit because it's going a little bit too hot. Turn it over. And cook the other side. I think these can come out now. Now we'll cook the remaining 3 pieces of the chicken. Oh, quite a messy business, as you can see. The cooker's going to take some cleaning afterwards. Turn it over now. Now the chicken can come out. We'll be putting that back in later. So now I'm just going to cook off the mushrooms. Add some more oil in at this point. These are the mushrooms, so I'll get rid of that. Next, we'll put the onions in. again. I'm going to need a bit more oil. Next I'm going to add the apple in. I need to strain it off that lemony water, remember. And they haven't gone brown, so that's a good result. The apple needed cooking for 2 or 3 minutes and they've had that now. So now it's time to add the dry cider. 250 ml of dry cider, that's going in. And I'm going to turn up the heat so that the alcohol will cook off. I want to bring this up to a boil. Just to cook off that alcohol from the cider. I'm going to leave this for another minute or so. I just had a sniff and it's pretty alcoholic smelling at the minute. So I want to wait until the alcohol smell goes off. Oh, that's better. Now it smells appley, which is what we wanted. Now I'm going to turn the heat down and add back in the mushrooms and the chicken. Now I'm going to add sufficient stock to cover the chicken, hopefully. I think I'm going to add the lot. Now I'm going to add the thyme, and then I'm going to bring this all back up to a boil, and then once it's back up to a boil we'll put the lid on and turn it down to simmer for half an hour. And that's it. Boiling, so turning it down now and we'll leave it for half an hour. So the chicken's been cooking for about 40 minutes. I looked at it after half an hour and it wasn't quite falling off the bone, so I left it for another another 10 minutes. And the way I checked it was I got a couple of forks and I poked it in to the chicken, and sure enough it's falling off the bone now after 40 minutes. So now I'm going to take it off the heat and add the cream. That's 150 ml of double cream. And now, just stir that. Now I'm going to add the mustard, which is about a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Dijon mustard's not as strong as English mustard, so that's not quite a tablespoon, but that's a good dollop. I'm going to stir that in. Make sure it's mixed in. And now I'm going to boil it up for about 5 minutes. And we'll see if the cream thickens the sauce. Just going to have a check. The cream's thickened it a little bit, but not as much as I would like to see. So now I'm going to mix up some corn flour. Little dessert spoons of corn flour there, and I'm going to put some water in first. I've added some cold water. Make sure there's no lumps left. And now I'm going to add some of the hot liquid from the sauce into the corn flour and water mix. It's less likely to go lumpy if I do it this way. I'll take it off the heat again. And add that in. Immediately it's starting to thicken up. Just making sure that it's incorporated before I put it back on the heat so that it doesn't go lumpy. And now I'm going to turn the heat down and add the pan back over there. Right, now we just need to cook out the corn flour so that it doesn't taste of corn flour. That only takes a couple of minutes. The lid back on, just leaving it for a minute or two now. That looks great. It's a good thickness, consistency now. I'm going to taste it just to check the taste. That tastes good. Chickeny and appley. Tastes great. Doesn't taste of corn flour. That's great. So that's ready. We'll serve that later on with mashed potato and a vegetable, and that should be really good. There's enough there. Well, there were 6 pieces of chicken. It would serve certainly 4 hungry people. It would serve 6 people at a pinch, and it will freeze well, but hopefully it will go down well tonight. So that's chicken Normandy. Thank you. And this is the chicken Normandy. That's lovely.